You're listening to the episode of Mr. Allard's Neighborhood. This is the place we're entitled to Brad's opinion. And now for your host, Brad Allard.
Well, how's it going out there in Burleson land? Ooh, get the mic right. I was hit. But today, we're going to be talking to Kandy Gal. I had you down for Cross Country Mortgage, but you just recently changed, within the last week or so, right? No,
I did.
What's the name of the company now?
It is UMortgage, the letter UMortgage.
Yeah. So, there's, I'm sure, a reason behind that. But I also know you were working with our old friend, Sammy Campbell.
Yes, sir.
And you worked with her before.
I did. She hired me back in 2007.
Yes. And the thing is, I used y'all. Mm-hmm. And when we joined BNI, because you're also the BNI president of this local chapter, and we all tremble in fear when she walks in the room. When you helped us do it with was it Sendera at the time?
It was Sendera.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
right. There's a lot of changing going on in your industry apparently.
There is.
But I've done it twice with you and Sammy,
Mm-hmm.
and because helping with school expenses and whatnot, and it worked pretty well, except when you go to the signing day and there's this mountain of papers that you have to sign. And it's like an hour and a half, and you have to break for lunch and that kind of thing. But it's all good. Anyway, Taylor, did you send me the link? I'm not quite seeing it yet.
Give me a second.
All right, good. Anyway, we're going to talk about our mutual membership in BNI. We had our visitors day yesterday, and I thought that went well, actually. I was concerned a little. But
I was a little nervous about it, but it turned out really good.
it did. And I like to think it's because of the advertising we did on the show, but, that's just my ego talking.
I think it was a big part of that.
I think it was Greg Williams pulling a lot of effort into it and making
He's
it happen.
remarkable, yes.
He's been on the show. In fact, I was talking to one of the guests about how many people have been on the show from BNI. And, in fact, starting Monday, I have 2 new sponsors from BNI.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, and I'll get to that. Well, you might as well get to it right now. So let's talk about our sponsors. And you may know these people. I bet you do. CrossFit Burleson, 317 Southwest Wilshire. It's right behind Stone Soup Cafe, Valet Cleaners, a couple other stores go in and out of that strip mall. But anyway, CrossFit Burleson is a good place for the serious workout. It's a good place for those that want a supervised workout because they have trainers, they have routines, they have classes, they have... the whole thing. It isn't just go there and start throwing the iron around. You're going to be able to get a professional level training. So CrossFit Burleson, 317 Southwest Wilshire. Also, Shandy Stogsdill. You've met Shandy before, haven't you?
Yes.
She's, as most of my avid listeners know, she's running for place 4 on the school board. So that'd be lots of fun. But she's a sponsor for her real estate business, and she's one of the best real estate people you can ask to deal with in this area. She knows where everything is, and you deal with a lot of realtors, and so hopefully you've dealt with her before. I don't know. There's a lot of people in your business too, isn't there? A lot of competition.
There is.
Well, after this
I've met her. Yeah.
Well, after this show, the competition will be blown away. Yeah, let's hope. Anyway, thank you, Shandy, for your help, and she'll be on the show in about 2.5 to 3 weeks. For probably mostly talk about our candidacy. Also, thank you to Otto at our place. Everybody knows Otto. Everybody loves Otto. He's at a food convention in Vegas right now, so he's really suffering mightily for his profession. But I was there. I've been there twice this week, I usually don't go twice a week, but I did this time. I met Caleb there for one of our one-to-ones, and then another friend the next day. And that's where I do all my one-to-ones with BNI, is at our place. Because it's comfortable, food's great, people are nice and friendly. It's a nice relaxing place to have a meal. I believe we had our one-to-one there as well.
We did.
Yeah,
We sure
that's right.
did.
Okay. Also, thank you to Wild Cigar and Culture over at the Standard. I bet you're a cigar smoker, Kandy.
I am not. Now, I've been next door, but I've not been there.
Yeah, we're at the Doughboy Donuts or whatever.
No,
it
I've
is.
not been there. The Revelry.
Oh, the Revelry, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Well, it's a good place to go to eat, and then you go over to Chris's and have a cigar and a drink. It's a good place for doing business. I'd like to see us do a BNI meeting there. They have a conference room. Sometimes if you just want to take our little band to Merry Men on the Road or something like that, they're open like during business hours, and so.
And women do smoke cigars.
Oh yeah, Michelle does from Hot Works. Not very
really?
often. No, she's health conscious and all that,
Right.
but she. every now and then she'll have one. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you don't want to live like a Puritan, I guess. But Wild Cigar and Culture is a good place to do business, and they do a lot of good stuff for the community. Also, going to change up a little on the ad here for Local Life because they got a special. This is Tiffany. She was there yesterday. Tiffany Nico I'm doing a special here. Sign up to 4 months or May, June, July, and August, and you'll get different size pricing options for the different size ads. But this is kind of a special. It's time to take care of the summer advertising. And what happens with Tiffany's advertising? I mean, it isn't like if she gets X number of ads, she could just add a page. She told me before she has to add pages in multiples. And so if she has to limit sometimes how many people are advertising in her magazine. So if you're looking to push some product or service this summer, you need to jump on Local Life. And she has some special options for pricing and sizing. And so I was talking to her yesterday. It's in the mail today. So many of y'all will get it tomorrow. And it'll be in the various locations around here. And it's going to be a lot of fun. It's always a great issue because she talks about not just advertising, but, you know, what's going on in the community and things like that. And has what she calls local loves, which are, you know, your favorite restaurant, your favorite doctor, your favorite real estate agent, you know, things of that nature. You know, if they had favorite mortgage broker, Kandy would win every time, though. So we have to kind of spread the wealth a little bit. But check out what Tiffany's got going on. And if you want to see this again, look at, besides this production, you can look at localifetx.com. Also, we have a Southern Gym. They're open right now. Robin's working there right now. Have you been up to see
Yes,
Gayla's
I
place?
have.
Isn't it nice? Yeah.
I love the jewelry.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, Gayla's a BNI member with us, and she will be moving to that new location just as soon as she can. I mean, I talk to her, and I'll say, well, how's the move going? And, oh, my gosh, you know, because there's all these things that had to happen, and if one doesn't get the shipment in time, it delays everything. And, you know, it's a one big headache. And so, but she's very much hoping to get this in by mid-April. She wants to be in there by Kentucky Derby Day. You know, she's big into that kind of horse race and horse breeding, whatever. Have you seen the location, the new one?
I have.
Yeah, it's nice. Going to be great.
Yes.
And I've always complimented her on her wisdom in putting a place to park the husbands over by the TV and maybe have a Dr. Pepper or a beer or whatever she's got going on over there, and the women can go there and spend the mortgage money. Okay, Southern Gym, though, on the top of the windmill building. Okay, Hotworks kind of got some bad news for me. Michelle and I talked earlier this week, and her business in Burleson is doing great, but she needs to move her advertising dollars to her Colleyville location. So this will be the last time, at least temporarily, that she'll be in the rotation. But she always will be a friend of this program. But she was very apologetic. You know, it's like, oh, Michelle, it's just business. You know, I know how you feel, but you got to do what you got to do. But her business here in Burleson, the Hotworks over on 731 on John Jones, they're doing great business. And she just, okay, and now I got to get that other one like this. And so she's going to be moving to more Colleyville-centric advertising. And so thank you, Michelle, for everything you've done. And we're still going to have her on the show every now and then because talk about health-related issues. And maybe at some future date, you know, we could, get her back in the rotation. But right now she has to focus on all her business. So thank you, Michelle, for your support for this program all these months and years, and I appreciate you very much. Also, thank you to Melissa, another BNI member, 682-804-0534, Texas Farm Bureau. She'll check out your insurance. She'll check out your rates. She'll check out your coverage. And right now, Melissa has told me yesterday that the real push for Texas Farm Bureau is make sure the house insurance is up to date and adequate, because the houses have gotten so much more expensive. A lot of people, their insurance doesn't reflect it. Mm-hmm. And so you don't want to be find out if they have some sort of need for that insurance that you're undercovered. So she's been contacting the clients that she has to say, make sure your house insurance would cover a loss. And so there you go. Is that my phone, doggone it? Or is that your phone?
It was mine.
Yeah, well, because you got so much business.
I turned it off.
Also, got a couple of nonprofits. We've been talking about this light up tonight for Center for ASD over at the Brick, starting at 6:30. The young lady who runs it, Bianca, also is a BNI member. You hear that a lot on this show because we all get together, and this is what BNI is about. It's trying to help each other out. And she has done a great job. And they're going to have clowns and magicians and a petting zoo and food trucks and all sorts of things. It's a great place for a great organization. I've had Lisa Boltinghouse on here several times, and I'm sure I'll have her again this summer because I like to have the nonprofits on like on a quarterly basis or at least 3 times a year if I can. So light up the night. Go Saturday night. Go check it out. Also, we have the Meatmeisters. Now, the deadline for ordering a ham is Saturday, April 1st, so don't wait too much longer. Are you familiar with Meatmeisters?
I'm not.
What they do is they will grill for your nonprofit events, and they provide the meat. They're master grillers, and they get the meat donated, or maybe a sponsor of the nonprofit will pay it or something like that, and they will bring those big old honking grills that you put behind your pickup and come grill for you, and add the sides and the condiments and the whole thing, all on them. This is their fundraiser. They sell hams at Easter time. And I got one last year, and it is Jim Dandy. It's $45, so get on meatmeisters.com and order yourself a ham. And there's 3 places to pick it up. One in Cleburne over the Children's Advocacy Center from 5 to 6. Also one in Weatherford, if you hear that far out, Texas Church of God Convention Center. That sounds like a fun place. They're also from about 5 to 6 next Friday. And then most of us in this area will be at the Joshua Nutrition over in Joshua 2 to 4. And that's where I got mine last year. And I took it to my parents for Easter, and we were eating on that thing for 3 days because it's a big ham. It's like 8 to 10 pounds, and it's a lot of meat. And it's really, really well done. And, I like ham okay, but I really like their ham. And so get after it. I believe you have one more that just popped up too. Oh, yes, I got 2 more. Oh, got a lot going on. See, April and May and June, you really get things going on. We have the Lost Oak Vineyard. We have Vineyard Vibes for Harvest House, okay? April 23rd from noon to 6. They're going to have various singers, including my old buddy that I met through BNI, Kyle Sherman. You remember him? Or you okay? And so on April 23rd from 12 to 6, they're going to have Harvest House is going to have their big fundraiser. Well, they have like 2 a year. And check out their ads on their homepage and whatnot. They have a couple of QR codes to get tickets, a QR code that you can buy, or donate a glass of wine. Now, that's what I call neighborly. I'm going to donate a glass of wine, So just if you want to send it to your favorite person, I don't know. But anyway, so check that out for Harvest House. And then I got this one just this morning. They're having Re-Inspire is having a barbecue cook-off on April 15th. Now, what's happening here is with Re-Inspire, I don't know if you've heard it, this is something that Shandy's involved in. They help kids that are aging out of the foster care system and help them and adjust to the real world, so to speak, teach them about, finance, about how, culinary skills, how to open a checking account, use a credit card properly, whatever else. So check out their page on Re-Inspire and see if you can, if you're in that area. It's going to be in Cleburne. I'm not seeing on the ads yet where it's going to be in Cleburne then. So am I just missing it or?
I don't see it.
Yeah, well, I'll tell Shandy. I'll say you need to let us know where it is. But anyway, if you're going to be around...
it's going to be at the Johnson County Sheriff Posse.
Oh, I thought that was who's sponsoring it. Oh, is that Posse a place? I haven't been there.
It's right down 174 past the courthouse in Cleburne.
Okay, well then, see, I learned something. I've never been in that building. I just thought when he said Johnson County Sheriff's Posse, I thought it was who was helping out with it, but that's where it's at, the Johnson County Sheriff's Posse. Thank you. Good. Now Shandy won't yell at me for messing up her ad. We'll keep it on, and we keep these ads on until the event's over. That's a lot. Yeah, it's like, well, this is the way it is. I do not have an open date on my show until May 8th.
Oh, wow.
Now it is election season.
Yeah.
You may have heard. And
I heard a little bit about that.
Yeah, and no comment is the comment of the day. You know? So, but it's no, I have nonprofits on because they have a lot of fundraisers in May and June or late April, and I'm very honored that they use my platform to get the word out. I mean, it's one of the best things about what I do here is I really enjoy that part. The other part, some days I can do without, but you know, the part I do enjoy the most is dealing with the nonprofits and also talking to business. So let's talk business. You are the president of BNI, which, you know, it's kind of fun to watch you because it's like, what's next? Oh, yeah, it's just all right here. But
yeah, I don't know. You know, BNI is a great organization, and it's got a, I don't know, it was established in 1985, and the reason it was established was for networking, and it's a great organization, like I said, and where we can refer others and keep it within BNI if you can, and cross-chapter referrals.
Yeah, we have chapters all over DFW, well, actually international, but I don't know how much I do with the London branch, but they have them there.
Yeah.
But I know I've benefited a great deal from BNI. When I was running the ads for our Visitors Day yesterday, I'd kind of throw a few in. But, you know, Gayla's a member, Melissa's a member, Michelle was a member. She's got like on an extended sabbatical, okay? Okay, so I've already profited right there from it. Also, starting Monday, I have 2 more sponsors coming on board from BNI. Now, these are short-term. These are month to month. We'll see. And that's how some of my sponsors are. It's not like they sign a contract and they owe me for 12 months or this other business. It's like, you know, we'll just do it a month-to-month handshake deal. And so Caleb Patino is going to be advertising for a couple months on his car detailing business he's starting. And then Dee Dee Simpson, who's been on the show, is going to come talk about Thrive. She's going to be on the show again, I believe. Oh, yeah, it's in mid-April. I have to look at the Thrive calendar that I have because I'm also a client of hers. And that's how it works. You know, I use Thrive, which is a BNI member. And Melissa Harmon is my insurance agent and from BNI. And, I use BNI people if possible, you know, that's the whole point of it. You know, it's more. I mean, we talked about this at the visitors meeting. It's more than just show up and have coffee and donuts. I was trying to make that point clear when I was doing the ads. You know, what would you say is one of the best aspects of that, though?
I think you might have touched on it yesterday. Is the giver's gain.
Right.
You know, I mean, there's nothing, you don't realize it till you start doing it sometimes, but giving, you receive a lot just from giving. I know we were always taught you give not to gain, but it comes naturally anyway. So, you know.
Well, I try to make this platform available to BNI people, and I've benefited from that.
Yeah.
And they have too, and it works out for both of us really well. And my little speech that I gave is not just the financial benefit I've gained, but also the personal benefit, because we're pretty close.
Oh, sure.
You know, we're pretty tight. And now we're not exclusive in any means, but I'm just saying that we've developed real relationships there. It's not just strictly business.
Right.
You know, it is business, but it's more than that, because, you know, we've all, at least all of us within the group, have had some sort of personal, you know, family issue or some sort of, you know, obstacle or hardship come along, and they've really done well. Like when I was sick about a year ago, I had several people, you know, from BNI saying, "Hey, can we bring you something? Are you good?" You know, Greg and Lisa and a few others, like, you know, we could bring you something to eat if you need it, or that kind of thing. So there was that kind of concern. That's more than just, you know, a financial relationship.
And I think that's where the one-to-ones come into place too, because having one-to-ones with each other, you really learn each time. You don't need just one-to-one. You know, you do it numerous times, you really get to know that person. And I think that's very helpful. And so you become close in it.
It is. And it also, I can very easily recommend people in my group to outsiders, you know, not just the group itself, but their services. You know, if I know of somebody who needs promotional items, I know Mandy is who I talk to.
Right.
You know, and so I can help her out like that. Or, you know, I guess with you, you know, if I know somebody's going to be needing your services, I just send them to you. Of course, you probably don't deal with me. You probably deal with realtors a lot more.
No, I deal with you too. So if you refer somebody to me, most definitely. Well, and one thing about it, they're going to be taken care of too.
Yeah.
If you refer someone in the BNI group, you don't have any hesitance about that.
I've never been disappointed. And, and some people, people come and go because life circumstances change. We've had members that, as other chapters developed in this area, that it was closer to their business and to their home. We've had some that changed jobs. We've had a couple that, said, look, I'm not going to be able to be here, because we do expect attendance and participation. This isn't like one of those things where if you can fit it in, fine. But no, we do ask you, if you're going to participate, you be there. And some people, that's not their gig, and that's fine. But there you are. We meet every Wednesday. Now we're moving, though, from the Hampton. Was it yesterday, our last one in the Hampton? Yeah.
This next week will be at Old South Pancake House.
Yeah, they have a meeting room, apparently. Our first couple of meetings when we started this thing, you're not a charter member, are you?
No.
I am. All right. I was brought in by Camille. Everybody knows Camille in this station here. I mean, she's a part owner of the studio. And so... she brought me in, and I had no idea what BNI was. I was not part of a networking group of any kind. And we first met on Zoom because we were still dealing with COVID. But our first face-to-face meeting was at Old South, and it was that space right by the street, that real narrow space. And it worked out okay, but then we knew we needed more maneuverability. And so we went to the Hampton. But now we're going to their other meeting room. So was that an executive decision on your part? We're moving by God.
I think we all voted on it, actually.
Yes, we did. I like the Hampton fine, but I'm going to like Old South fine too.
I think so too.
But anyway, let's talk about you, okay?
Okay.
I listed you at Cross Country Mortgage, and that's what we have you here, but we can make that change because you just recently changed.
I did. This is my second week.
For UMortgage?
UMortgage. It's the letter U and then mortgage.
I think you sent us your logo, did you not? There it is.
There
you betcha.
it is.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very excited about it. Anytime I've made a move, it's always been with the buyers, the borrowers in my mind to make it better on them. And with UMortgage, we're a broker. And so you will have sometimes, and it's a smart thing to do too, when someone's looking to buy a house, they're looking at their options and everything, and they may go to more than one lender. And they'll have multiple people pulling their credit, which could put a ding on their credit. But with UMortgage, I'm the one, I pull their credit one time and I shop for the lowest rates for them. So there's not the overhead that you have like as a regular mortgage lender, being a broker. I'm very excited about it, and that's why I made the move, was just to help the buyers with the lower interest rates, especially where they've been lately.
Well, yeah, that was going to, maybe in a few minutes I was going to ask you what the impact of those interest rate changes have been. But so is all this done online?
Yes.
Okay, so.
Well, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, how would they contact you for one thing?
No, my cell phone number is 817-925-2661. I give that out to everybody.
One more time, please.
817-925-2661. And, of course, everyone wants a weekend off, but I am there. If someone needs help on a weekend, I'm going to be there. I know a lot of realtors are working during the weekend and showing houses, and if they need someone pre-approved, if I'm able to take that call, I'll be more than happy to. But where were we? Were we talking about interest rates?
Well, not yet, but but just like you, after you give the phone number.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we call you, and you could go through the various options.
I do have a website they can go to, which is my name, which is Kandy with a K, Kandy, GOW.com. They can go there and fill out an application online. What I like to do a lot of times is take them over the phone. I'm kind of old school like that because you kind of get that friendship going on, and you're learning things that you wouldn't learn from someone applying online. And they may tell me some things that I kind of keep in my back pocket that I might not want to share with anybody as far as their loan. Nothing that's, illegal or anything like that, but just something that they might not even need on their application. that could confuse the process. So anyway, I try and make it as simple, as stress-free for them, and very, after we close, I want them to know that they can come to me. I'm still there for any questions they might have.
Well, and I can personally vouch for your service because, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, you were with Sendero with Sammy Joe Campbell for quite some time, and I used you twice. In fact, I think if I remember, first time you came to BNI meeting, you're like, "Don't I know you from somewhere?" and so I know personally what kind of service you give, and it was a very relaxed atmosphere. And even though I joke about all the signing we had to do, which takes a while, it was nice,
And it has changed now. They're not all, and you don't have all that signing. A lot of it's done online. You mentioned online, so I do like. I'm local. Have an office there in Burleson. I cover all the Dallas-Fort Worth area or wherever. I've done a house in Dalhart, did a loan for someone in Dalhart, Texas. And what that was a referral from one of my buyers or borrowers in Alvarado. They had a relative up in Dalhart, and he referred me. I never met them face-to-face, but we talked a lot over the phone and got it done for them. So,
well, where's your office at?
It's 300 East Renfro. So we're in the B&G area there.
Right, the Veterans Plaza.
Yes, and so we're in the newer building at the end of that plaza. It's a 3-story building. You have Providence Title on the bottom. We're on the very top.
Are you by yourself, or do you have anybody help you?
Sammy Campbell's in the office.
Oh, Sammy's in the office.
Yeah,
okay.
So she's our branch manager.
Okay, I got the impression that you did a lot of your stuff either from home.
Well,
or
I did.
on maybe just on location, maybe.
I did, and I'm not one for working from home.
Really?
I'm really not. I'm one of those strange people. I like to go into an office. I like to have that camaraderie with the people there in the office, and I like to have a place for people to come in. We have a conference room, very nice conference room that I can meet people in. So I am glad to be back in an office.
Yeah, so if I came back for whatever, to refinance or whatever else, it'd be like deja vu all over again.
It sure would.
There's Sammy Joe, there you are, and there you go. It's great. And it's good to have that kind of long-term professional relationship with people like Sammy Joe, because it gives people confidence. And you told me that, in your industry, it's not uncommon to, go through different employers or processes.
It's not. And I was, before I got in the industry, I had a relative that worked in the title business, and she changed quite a bit. And I was in advertising at the time, and I thought, ooh, that might not look good, changing all the time. But I didn't say anything. But then when I got in this industry, I've made changes, and every time I've made a change, it's just to benefit. I made a change one time from Sendero to First United Bank, and that was because we could do interim construction loans, and there was a need for that. I could still do all the other loans, but that gave me that added advantage to help people that were looking for a construction loan.
I think the second time I used you were with First United. Isn't it at a Durant?
It sure is.
Yeah, that's what happened. My rings a bell now, and what I thought is just, people like y'all are probably, once you get a reputation of doing good service, you get recruited by these other companies. Well,
and you do have calls quite a bit, people trying to recruit you. But once you find a company, and I've said this many times because I've really liked all the companies I've been with, when I'm there, I'll say, I'm not leaving. This is a perfect fit. But then you find something changes, and not within that company, but something changes within the market and the need for a buyer or a borrower, and you make that change for them. And so that is the reason I've always made the changes.
Well, but you did all your business primarily in the Burleson area, right?
The majority of it.
Well, I mean, but like you said, you do people in Dalhart and whatever else, but you've been located in this area.
Yeah, in Arlington. I do have some agents I work with in Arlington and Cleburne and Johnson County. So I'm a member of the Johnson County Area Realtors Association. And a lot of good people within that organization. So we went to Austin last Wednesday and watched the House, the Senate, in session, and that was exciting.
Yeah, I've done that before too, but I'm a government teacher, so it's kind of like I'm supposed to do that, But you went down there because you were talking about property taxes, correct?
Actually, it was Realtor Day last Wednesday. Yeah. So all the realtors that could met there on the grounds, and they had a rally, and then we went and visited the Texas Realtor Association office there, and we went into the Capitol and watched was it Dan Patrick.
Oh, yeah. You were in the Senate.
Yes, yep. And we watched them pass the bill, which I mentioned yesterday about property taxes, but it's not, I don't think it's passed completely. I think it still has to go. You probably know more about that than I do.
I've kind of kept up with it, yeah, because I do teach a Texas government class, and it's easier to teach that class when they're in the legislature's in session, which is every other spring, so it's not all the time. I did know that they were working on it in the Senate, but when you told me they had passed it, I did not realize they had voted. I do know the House has their version, and they're going to have to work out the differences.
Right. And it was exciting because they passed it while we were there watching it. So it was really pretty cool.
Can you give us a hint or detail or anything about what they passed?
I don't have all the details, but I can tell you it's on school taxes, and it will affect the over 65 and anyone disabled. But then also, I believe it's going to also help the ones that are younger than age 65. But it's something that I think that's been needed. So I look forward to it because one thing, it's going to reduce your property taxes, hopefully, if it gets passed all the way.
Oh, there's going to be something passed.
Yeah.
I mean, the Republicans that run the legislature have made it very clear that's priority one. And so I don't know all the details. I don't know what will happen to the Senate bill eventually, but probably the majority of what they passed will be in the final legislation. So you talk about cutting the school taxes?
Yes, And another good thing about that, as far as my interest in it also, well, everything I'm interested in on that, but is if I had a buyer or borrower that could not get qualified because of property taxes being too high on a property they wanted, if that's going to decrease their property taxes, that's going to help them out and possibly get qualified on a loan that they were not able to at the higher taxes.
I've always had real issues with the way Texas has financed itself.
Yeah.
The property tax, sales tax, user fees quite often. I voted against that constitutional amendment that made income tax unconstitutional. I mean, we weren't going to have one anyway, but well, now we're never going to have one. And I just did not really get excited about that because property taxes are high. I've had, I talked to like Shandy and I talked to Dallas Owen and Caleb Mitchell. All three are running for place 4. I've talked to the other 2 candidates, Mr. Duke and Mr. Richardson, Rob Duke, Ryan Richardson for place 3. When we got to talk about taxes, they all said, we wish we could do something about it. And it's very confusing anyway. And so my guess is there'll be some sort of reduction. I just don't know. The first question I would ask the Senate or anybody that passed it, what will the impact be on the schools? And if they're lowering the taxes, is that money going to be made up somewhere else?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
And it's probably, I looked at a few of the articles written on it, it's maybe on the sales tax, but...
Well, so if they cut the property taxes for schools by X amount, hopefully that X amount will be made up somewhere else.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, we do have a big rainy day fund, or maybe we could just, use it for that. But there's all sorts of people that want to use that money for other things as well, and we got a lot of things we could do for it. I mean, we need to upgrade our mental health facilities in this,
absolutely.
state. We, some of our infrastructure needs work. We probably can increase law enforcement, and there's a lot of things we can do with that money. And I know the Republicans that run the government down there, they wanted to send about half of it back in terms of these tax cuts. And, a lot of people are pretty happy about that. So there you are. So, it's, people voted for them. So there you go. But when you're doing mortgages and whatnot, how much is that come into play? Those kind of factors.
The property taxes?
Yeah.
Oh, it comes into play quite a bit, actually. Because when you're looking at someone purchasing a home, you have to, we call it DTI or debt-to-income ratios. That's part of it.
Right.
So along with the interest rates, which I've made that change to help people, you're looking at the property taxes, homeowners insurance. So, if someone's debt-to-income ratio is a little bit high and they're not qualified for that program, because each program is, has different ratios you have to stay within, then you start looking where you can help that person get qualified. Maybe you're looking for lesser insurance or a less expensive insurance monthly wise, So it plays a big part.
Does it play a big part as to which community you might use? I mean, statewide taxes are what they are, but not all communities have the same
Counties. Yeah.
Okay, so the county makes a difference.
Yes.
Okay, which if you were suggesting to somebody that moves to this area, would you say Tarrant or Johnson?
You know what? That's a good question because I lived the last house I lived in Burleson, we were part Tarrant and part Johnson.
The house was?
Yes. So our
Really?
county was Tarrant, and our school was Burleson, and our city was Burleson, but everything else was Tarrant.
So like your kitchen was in Tarrant County?
Well, I don't know.
I had a friend and I was an ex-student and we became friends. He became a teaching colleague. And his parents' house, that's exactly what happened. Their kitchen was in Tarrant County and the bedrooms were in Johnson County.
Well, I think it's probably by the neighborhood or the street that we were on.
The line on the map went right through their house, and it's like. So over here in the kitchen, you can do fireworks, but not in the bedroom, and that kind of whatever. But
yeah, well, so at that time, you know what? I thought I didn't see a big difference, to be honest with you, as far as the counties. I'm sure there are. I know a county that's local that's very inexpensive on their property taxes,
But not some of the other stuff may not be what you want. You can't tell me the county?
I don't know. Oh, well, it's Hood County.
Hood County. I figured.
Yeah.
I was going to say it's got to be either Hood or Hill County.
But you know what? They're growing, so that may
sure.
change.
Oh yeah, everything's growing. Caleb's down. Patino is down in Granbury.
Yep.
Well, he's where he lives, but he does most of his business up here because they used to be able to afford a house down there. Now Granbury's growing.
Yes, it is.
Everything's growing. Of course. And a lot of times I have the, a city council on or something, somebody that's dealing with the city and growth and all that, something you have to deal with as well. Is Burleson still growing as fast as it used to be?
Oh, yeah. I believe so.
It's been growing this way for a decade or more.
Yeah. We moved to Burleson in 2006. I'm from Fort Worth originally, and we moved out to Cleburne, and my kids went to Cleburne School. And just for the fact my parents had moved out there after they retired, my mom got ill. We wanted to be close to her. And then in 2006, my daughter had graduated Cleburne, but my son was still in school, so he came to Burleson, and we moved to Burleson. And it's grown. From 2006, it's grown so much. I mean,
I moved here in 91. I taught for 3 years while I lived in Arlington. And my wife and I were looking for houses. And then when I moved to the high school, I said, okay, I'm going to stay here. Because I was teaching the classes I wanted to teach. I wanted to teach at that level. These, then were honors classes. Now they're AP. And I said, I want to live in the community I teach in. And Burleson was still pretty affordable. I have a real hard time affording a house now.
I know.
And it's something we talk about with the city council when Victoria's here, when Ronnie's here. I've had the mayor on a few times, so we've talked about it with him as well. It's like, something's got to give,
Well, and the increase of pricings of the homes have, within the last, 3 or 4 years is when you've really seen it boom. And why is that? Is it because we have people coming in from other states? I don't know.
Well, I have a couple of friends besides Shandy. She obviously knows this area, and when she comes on for real estate conversations, she comes on about once a quarter, and we'll talk about rates and we'll talk about properties and other things like that. But I have a couple other friends in there, and they tell me that California is still bringing a lot of people in, those that could get out, particularly since now they can live in Texas and still keep their job, doing it remote, and then get away from the communist state of California and, all that trash that goes on in San Francisco, blah, blah, blah. And also there, a lot of people, older folks, like I'm older than you, I'm sure. Yeah,
we're not going to talk age.
Okay, fine. But I'm just saying, some people they can move further out a little bit, get more property, and still not be. They can still be connected because of all the changes and whatnot.
Right. I have a lot of buyers that they're transplants from other states, from California, a lot of them. And I'll ask them, how do you like it? Oh, we love Texas. They love it. First thing they say are the people. The people are so friendly.
Well, I've heard that too, and some people are concerned that don't California my Texas has become a thing.
Yeah.
Well, they've already Californianized Austin, but that's always been an outlier anyway. But when I grew up in Plano in the '70s, and the same thing happened to Plano that's happening now to Burleson. It just blew up.
Mm-hmm.
We moved in there in '74, and it was 15,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
It was just beginning to grow. When I graduated high school 6 years later, it was 100,000 people, and it was just houses going up all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And Plano had a lot of space to do that. Now they can't. They are landlocked.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't keep up with Plano politics very much. Local politics give me a headache enough. But one of their issues is one of our issues, and that's multifamily housing, apartments.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just going to be the nature of a growing community.
And you see a lot of them going up right now.
Mm-hmm. And some people have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Personally, we need it because, I've mentioned this before. My daughter got out of college, got an apartment down here, and I was paying less for my mortgage than she was paying for rent.
That's what I was going to say. And I've checked around with some of the newer apartments that have gone up, and I've called them just to see what the rent is per month, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, that's a mortgage payment.
It is.
And if somebody can buy, invest in a home, that's your best investment. And every time you make a payment, you're getting equity on your home.
I tell you another place that's going to start growing more and more. It may be off our radar, but this is happening in my family, extended family, is Oklahoma City, because it has so much space out there that, like, my son lives in Oklahoma City. Mm-hmm. And we pay about the same thing. He rents a house, pays what I pay for my mortgage, but he could buy a house in Oklahoma City. He couldn't even think about it here in the DFW area. And my cousin's son's moving to Weatherford, Oklahoma, because of you could buy a house, and it's becoming so difficult in the DFW area to buy a house.
What makes it easier in Oklahoma to buy a house? It's just not as growing as fast.
It's growing enough, but they have so much space that they have enough supply of housing.
I see.
They're growing, but Oklahoma City, geographically, they claim is the largest city in the country. Mm-hmm. So there's like a lot of unincorporated space within the city limits, and then their suburbs are spread out too, like Yukon and Mustang and these other little communities like that. And so they have the space. We butt up against Crowley and Joshua and Mansfield and all this other stuff. Now, there's still some space to build, but sooner or later, it's going to be really tough.
I was surprised coming through Crowley how that's growing up and the main street and everything.
Yeah.
What they're doing.
Yeah, we endured the Main Street construction for about 2 years, but it's all right. But that's a real concern. I mean, and I guess when you get together with your fellow brokers and mortgage people and whatnot, are these the kind of things y'all talk about? About growth and whatnot?
Sure.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And how they're handling it and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. And interest rates is a big topic.
Let's talk about that then. They're going to jump the rates again. Jerome Powell of the Fed keeps raising the rates, much to the chagrin of the government. And there's all sorts of things. I've talked about that in the abstract on another show a couple months ago. But how is it affecting you directly?
I would say in the fall of this last year until January, February, it had slowed down quite a bit. Mm-hmm. It's coming back up. And from what I understand from reading and listening to podcasts and everything and all the gurus out there, they're looking for the rates to come back down, hopefully. Now, we don't know for sure, probably mid-May. That's what's being said.
Let's hope anyway.
Yeah.
Because
now, is it going to come down as low as it was 2 years ago? I've never seen that.
Well, and there were some problems with it being too low. And like that bank in California that went under, Silicon Valley Bank. One reason they went under, among others, is that they had bought all those really, really low interest rate treasuries. And then when the rates started rising, the value of their treasuries declined, and they had a big run on the bank, and they tried to sell a bunch of treasuries to raise the capital they needed to meet that demand for the money. Mm-hmm. Couldn't do it, and they crashed in about 2 days.
I think I heard someone bought that bank, though.
I believe they did. I know that Credit Suisse got bought by UBS, and I don't remember exactly who bought Silicon Valley. I've slept since then, but I'm just saying it's for you, when the rates rise, does that affect the number of people looking for homes?
It does a little bit, yeah. But there's ways around that too.
How's that?
Well, you can, if you can invest now and then look at maybe refinancing later on when the rates come down. That's an option if you find a house that you really want to buy. Another way is there's programs where you can get help with the interest rates being brought down. For instance, sellers can contribute to that.
It's interesting because when I moved here in 91, the rate was about 9%.
Yep.
And then it started dropping. And so about 4 years later, my ever attentive wife, who pays attention to these things, said we need to refinance. And so we went from 9% to like 5 and 9 or 6% or something like that. Saved us some money.
Well, it saves you some money. You can also, if possible, cut the years in half.
We wanted to do that, and then as we got kids, we wanted to. The first time you and I met when we refinanced, a lot of that was because the rates had gotten even lower, and we wanted to take some money out to do some stuff around the house.
Sure.
And the second time was because my kids, one was in college, one was about to go to college, and so I didn't want to borrow money from an outsider. I said, if I'm going to borrow money, I'd rather borrow it from myself. And so I took some money out for
college funds.
Yeah, and then about 4 years ago, I did it again because I didn't know my employment status, and so I said, okay, I'm going to borrow some money. I'm going to pay off all these debts, like pay off, all this other stuff. And right in the middle of the process, DBU called, and so I probably didn't have to do it. And as soon as I got the job at DBU, the air conditioner went out.
Oh, wow.
So I needed that money for that. And so that's how I did. I don't know how smart that is. And some people think, well, it's just you're just kicking the can down the road. But I'd rather do it that way than say go into an outside bank,
right,
and just take it a standard loan out.
And sure, and where's your interest rate going to be on that too?
It's higher.
Yeah.
And there's no tax advantage.
Right. Right.
So this is an odd question, okay? When Trump administration raised the standard deductible to a point where almost nobody, really needs to itemize anymore, does that change anything for y'all? Because one of the advantages of buying a home was the tax advantages, but the standard deduction's now so high that I haven't qualified it for it since.
Now when you come on the tax side of it, I'm not sure, to be honest with you. That would probably be a tax preparer's question.
Well, it is, but because I've talked about it before, but it just, used to be the deductible was X, and so you itemize, and your charitable donations and your all this other stuff.
Well, and I know you can, buying a home or refinancing, you can deduct some of those fees. So it is very helpful on that.
It is, but now that they've raised the standard so high, almost everybody just takes a standard.
Right.
I mean, I just had my taxes done, and yes, I owe money.
I was going to say, you're ahead of me. I haven't had mine done.
I always do it as quickly as I get the information because I know I'm going to be paying because I have like several small jobs, and so does Robin, and so they don't tax at the same rate, and then you put it all together, all of a sudden, you still owe us some money.
Yeah.
So because when I'm semi-retired, I work part-time for DBU and for Hill, and Robin works for Gala and that kind of stuff, and so you put them all together, you're going to end up owing money.
Yeah.
And so I want to know as soon as I can. And so, and of course, waiting to the last minute, you're not going to do that, are you? Not going to wait till April?
I usually do.
Oh, really?
I do. I know. I'm good with everything, with work and everything and taking care of people. But when it comes to myself...
Do you do it yourself?
No. But getting it together and getting it in and having it done.
Well, I know somebody, if you don't have anybody, I know somebody that did mine where it was great.
Oh, really?
Yes. He's local, and he did a really good job. And his name is John Stanley, and he did my taxes, and educated me on a couple of things about this podcast, about what I needed to be doing to make sure I wouldn't fly in any red flags in front of the IRS, which I did not, by the way, if you're listening, IRS or NCSA or any of these other agencies. No, he said, this is how you need to present that kind of information. And then, so It was helpful.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't doing it illegally before.
Right.
It just this by redefining it in certain ways, it didn't cost me any money, but it also meant that was more in line with what the IRS prefers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, less questions.
So you won't be picked on.
I hope not. Well, you know, I'm just a small timer. Lisa Smith, our friend, is there. See, that's what I was talking about earlier about the screen. There's Lisa Smith. Awesome job, Kandy.
Awesome.
Yeah, she knew you were kind of concerned. Lisa and her husband Morris were on here back in October, and I'd like to have her again because you know, every time that Lisa or somebody like, or Melissa, they get up there and do those little presentations.
Yes.
I run home to make sure my house is still standing, you know, because if you don't check that roof, you know, the mold is going to get you. And you know, you lie awake in the middle of the night, is that mold I hear growing? But
well, Lisa's attitude is infectious. I mean, I love how she gets up and talks at BNI. And
I do too.
You know,
and she's with Stop Restoration. A little shout out to Stop Restoration. And so, you know, have them check out your house for any kind of damages, particularly if we have a really bad storm.
and they also do mold. You know,
Yeah, that's what their big thing is. So
Yeah.
she's thinking, I'm sure she's laughing now at us, but that's okay. But she BNI member, this is what we do for each
Yes.
other. We make shout outs, you know, for Stop Restoration here in Crowley. There it is. See? On the screen. All right. Anyway, but as far as back to the interest rates briefly, we're getting kind of close on time. You say you think they're going to come down.
that's what they're predicted to do.
Yeah.
You know, I always hear if we had a crystal ball, I'd be a millionaire.
Me too.
But that's what they're saying, you know, and which will be nice. But to be honest with you, what you said when you first bought a house, did you say 90, 91, something like that?
That was 91.
My husband and I had a house built in 87, and our interest rate was 9%.
And, you know, and I bet you and I remember the days when late 70s, early 80s, when the interest rates are like 17, 20%, you know, and all this other business.
So really, they're not that bad right now. They're worse than what they were 2 years ago. But like I said, I've never seen the rates that low as we did 2.5 years ago.
Well, because the rates are low, it also exploded the home values because now,
Oh, yeah.
you know, my home went up quite a bit. Now that's leveled off and it's kind of drifted down a little bit in the last 6 months, but it's not, you know,
Right.
but my house, I always say I couldn't afford it now. And a lot of people probably could say that. And so the rates really, you think that's the number one factor in buying a house, or what do you think it is?
That, but I also think the political arena, what's going on right now. Oh, I don't want to bring up politics.
Well, you could talk about it in a national sense. I mean,
Okay, yes.
there's not much the local guys can do about interest
no,
rates.
no.
So,
But I think people are wondering what the economy is going to do, and that maybe they're holding off to see. But it's, you know, oh, this is good information, though. So the people that bought a house 2 years ago when the interest rates were so low, 75% of those people are not happy with the house that they bought because they were in a bidding war. And when you get in competition in bidding wars, you're bidding on a house you might not really want, you know, because you need a house.
right.
So those people are coming back around, you know. So it's interesting.
Well, when my daughter was looking for a house, you know, her income was such that her choices are somewhat limited. And but the prices are like, you're asking this much for this house? You
Yes.
kidding me?
Yes.
What about that 6 foot crack through the wall? Well, you'll get used to it. You know, so, you know, who doesn't have an open hole in their roof? You know, and that kind of thing. You know, it's just like I
experienced that with my son when we bought a house in 2006. I know what we paid for it. And then when he was buying one in 2018, I'm like, oh my goodness, it's more than what we paid, and there's no comparison, you know?
You know, I just thinking, you know, the people that are putting this house up and asking this price, I said, do they, you know, they don't need to rob banks because, you know, they've got enough guts right now just to try to sell the house at this level. But they say it's going to start drifting down because of that. But I don't think it's going to happen in the DFW area because what you mentioned earlier about California.
Yeah.
I had another friend I worked with. Her parents moved out of Illinois into Tennessee, and the tax savings alone could pay for the house they bought in Tennessee. I mean, they bought a lot bigger house because they could live near Nashville and get out of Illinois. And those states like Illinois and Jersey and New York, in California, they're just hemorrhaging people because they just have taxed their brains out.
That's one reason.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Among others, some of the politics, I'm sure, is driving them
And
crazy.
we see a lot. I talk to people every week that are looking to move here, and a lot of them are retired, and they just want to. A lot of them want to be closer to their family. Maybe their kids and grandkids are here, but they've all been so happy once they make that move.
Well, we are almost out of time here, so I'd like the guests to have the last word. Tell us how they can get a hold of you, what you can do for them, and anything else you think is pertinent.
Okay. Well, they can get a hold of me by calling my cell, 817-925-2661. You can visit my website, which is my first and last name, which is Kandy with a K. It's Kandy. My last name is Gow, GOW.com. That'll take you to a website if you want to fill out an application. My email is kgow@umortgage.com. And I'm very excited about the move that I've made. I'm very excited about the interest rates because before I made this move, I researched things and I compared rates where I was and where I was looking to move, and there was such a big difference. So I'm very, very excited about that and to save people money.
Did they just walk in your office up in the third floor of that building, of the Providence Title Building?
They can do that. I would say if they could call me or text me, make sure I'm going to be there because sometimes, like today, I'm out of the office in this morning, and so just make sure I'm there. But I would love to work with them. And one other thing, I always get calls from either someone that hasn't purchased a home in a while, and they'll say, "Oh, I don't remember what to do." Don't worry about that. There's no silly questions. That's what I'm here for. And even if they knew what to do, the guidelines and everything changes every day, and they don't need to know that you don't have to stay on top of it. I'll help you along the way.
Well, that's what you're there for, right? To hold their hand and, maybe pass them a Kleenex when they, and whatever, when they start tearing up. But they see the
tears of joy.
Tears of joy, of course. But that's good. That's what you're there for,
yes,
actually, is to guide them through this. And so basically the hardest thing to do is just dial the number, and everything else is in your hands.
Yes, sir. I'll be there to take care of them.
Well, now this wasn't so bad now, was it?
It wasn't. I was nervous. I didn't know what you were going to ask me. But
Why, what do you do? So tell us, some deep, dark secret, whatever. No.
I have none. I'm an open book.
Okay. But, okay.
Well, thank you, Greg. Thank you very much. Brad, I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Allard.
It's all right. I've been called worse. No, you probably got me confused with Greg Williams.
I did.
That happens a lot,
short names.
Yeah, okay. Oh, dear. Okay, well, I'll say goodbye to Bill over in the studio. Oh, that's Taylor. Sorry, I got your name wrong, too. Okay. Monday, I have Gabrina.
My dad's name.
Oh, is that right? Okay. Gabrina will be here from Chamber of Commerce. Also, Tuesday, I have a special guest. It's the first time for me. Her name is Taylor. Oh, gosh, what's her first? I already forgot her name.
I messed you up.
No, I know it's Jamie Lehman's partner in their travel service. And by golly, I forgot her name. And then I have Larry Scott a week from today, who's running for place 4 in the city council. So that ought to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be in the studio until May 8th at least. So things are happening.
No vacation time for you.
I can't afford it anyway. So anyway, well, thank you, Kandy.
Thank you.
All right, and we'll see you.
Brad.
No problem. We'll see you later.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.